So this talk is primarily about a very opinionated view of how software engineering is impacted in the age of LLMs, and how this analogy that I came up with is something that I found very useful for when we've been delivering projects and products in the Gen AI space. So let's break this down into four portions that we want to touch. First is just an idea of how is LLM as a new computing paradigm. What do I mean by that? And that's important because I think a lot of people think about this as just being a chat interface, right? And then where and when do we feel that thinking of LLM as human is helpful? What's a framework that we have found useful? And I would like to sort of spend some time on describing that framework to the people. And then extend that into this idea of agents and multi-agents, that how did that initial analogy expand to this space, and then just close it out with the future looking aspect about what software engineering is going to look with the Gen AI space. um, let's start with the first bit where we talk about 0 to 1 innovation. So 0 to 1 is a very innovation is a very well-known concept where you're talking about things that happen which caused new innovation to occur because there was no precedent to that, and an entire new field explodes after that. Think about the classical example is of a 0 to 1 invention is the invention of a wheel. So now the wheel, there was nothing that led up to the wheel per se, but having the wheel then provided a huge area of where new innovation can occur. In that, if we map it to computing software, I think there were two key moments for that purpose. So I'm going to call out the first bit, which is November 15, 1971. And I'm sure nobody really remembers this because this is before most of us were born, actually. But even then, I think this is a very, very well-known time frame when what happened was that the Intel launched its 4004 general purpose microprocessor. And this is critical because it started the microprocessor revolution, which allowed us to build the software stack, which went from having basic mathematical computation be automated in a microprocessor, but then you build on top of it layering, which started from an assembly language to compilers to linkers, then your operating system. And on top of that, you started getting C++, C, Java, what have you, other languages, and this entire stack started building up. Where you could start building softwares, incrementally start building more and more interesting solutions that could not be fathomed before this. But the innovation of a general purpose computer, where the basic idea that you could automate mathematical operations, the and or logic, and then build layers and layers of software stack on top of it, so that you can make it easy for people to develop new applications using this underlying core capability, which is automating mathematical operations, happened in November 15, 1971. A second one, and I'm hoping more people will remember, this one is November 30, 2022. And I'm sure more people will remember this because this is the day ChatGPT was released by OpenAI as something that everybody could work on. And I remember that day, frankly. I mean, I think everybody would recall that, you walked into the office and everybody was talking about this, right? And everybody could feel that something fundamentally has changed. And people knew it, but they didn't know what it would be and what it would make out to be. And that's what I want to expand on. So to me, this underlying model, underlying capability that ChatGPT released was the capability of LLMs to replace or allow you to automate conversational reasoning. So just like the CPU provided a general purpose computational framework to automate mathematical operations, the LLMs provides a very fundamental conversational reasoning core. And that is where, if you connect the dot, I'm not talking about a chat interface or something that we can talk to and it'll give you back. I'm saying that now that you have this core, What is starting to happen is that just like you started to have assembly language and then operating system and then layers of languages on top of it, the reasoning, conversational reasoning core around it, there's a whole bunch of a software stack that is coming up. So the previous stack I'm talking like legacy is more deterministic, but the Gen AI stack is very dynamic because it has at its fundamental unit this LLM, which are represented by different types of models. But then you have frameworks that allow you to stitch these things together, build more and more interesting solutions using those models more fastly. That's fundamentally what is changing with these frameworks. If you think about it, it's doing two things. One is coming up with abstractions and you can think of capabilities which allows it to harness this underlying reasoning capability. And obviously, just like the CPU core expanded, the LLM models are keep on becoming better and better. But the software stacks is allowing you to use that fundamental unit that you've added into the computing toolbox to build more build application more easy. But then what is happening is because this is a human-like reasoning core, conversational, it has its own what I call creative digressions, right? So you have to have within the stack something which is not even possible, not wasn't thought about as important earlier. This is testing and evaluation in situ, inside the program, because these things can hallucinate. They can go in and do something that you didn't want them to do. That's why the stack is dynamic. And a very core part of this is the testing and evaluation frameworks that are coming in, and they're not part of just sort of the output that you see as part of ChatGPT. This behind the scenes, there's a whole bunch of um, libraries and frameworks which are allowing you to do that in a new and more innovative and improvement way as things keep on going forward. And the stack that you see at the bottom, this is the stack that is the new software paradigm that I want people to focus on. This is entirely different from just saying, I've got a new version of a model or a new version of a LLM or just a new chat GPT with or a Cohere or whatever. Those are all very defined products built using this stack. And the core innovation that has come around is that you have built a software stack around a new fundamental computing paradigm, which is a reasoning core. All right. So that's the new software paradigm. That's the new thing that's got added into the system. Now, what happens is that when we go into this area, the fundamental unit are the LLMs. And when we started working with that, the first thing that happens is that you've got so many of these LLMs out there.